People feared them. I bet you in the late 1800s, every single person in Lancaster County knew who they were.
In the late 1800s and early 1900s, a band of outlaws known as the Buzzard Gang terrorized the Welsh Mountain region of Lancaster County and its surrounding areas. The name Buzzard Gang comes from the fact that 6 brothers, Martin, John, Abe, Ike, Jacob, and Joe Buzzard, operated within the group.
The father, John Buzzard, after having 6 boys and 2 girls, he went off to fight in the Civil War where he died. That caused the mother to raise all her 8 children by herself, and they settled in the Welsh Mountains, or they grew up in the Welsh Mountains, and they grew up in very poor times. They just turned to a life of crime.
While they were most famous for being chicken and horse thieves, this band of criminals were actually a much more dangerous bunch.
They started in the late 1860s committing crimes. A lot of it was petty crimes. They worked their way up to more serious things. They had up to 20 people in their gang, various people. The Buzzard Gang were true felons. They would break into people's houses at night, hold them up at gunpoint. They were involved in shootouts with local posses that would form to try to track them down, law enforcement. They held up people at night in their house, break in, steal money from them.
Abe Buzzard was the most notorious criminal of the pack and was regarded as the ringleader.
He was widely known as the Jesse James of the East Coast. He was the one that probably had the biggest name, the most notoriety, and probably was just the ringleader. I don't know how it started or why it started, but he just seems to be the ones that initiated the majority of the crimes.
As one can imagine, the Buzzards were frequently jailed for their crimes, but incarceration wouldn't matter for this group as they had a penchant for jailbreaking. In October 1883, Abe and Isaac Buzzard executed the largest prison break in Lancaster County history.
Isaac Buzzard was allowed to have a bird or a canary that he raised in his jail cell. This bird had laid eggs and had babies, and they figured that if they separate the mother along with the small ones, that it would fly back and forth to them. Well, they came up with an idea. This is a good way to communicate between the jail cells. Isaac and Abe would write out messages to and tape it or tie it to the mother, and they could communicate this way. Well, they planned a prison break, and October of 1883, the correction officers came over. Isaac grabbed him, opened up the cell, and threw him in, stole his keys, and they started unlocking the different jail cells. 12 different people escaped.
Rewards were being posted around the county that wanted Abe Buzzard dead or alive. At one point, up to $5,000 was being offered.
He himself started feeling the heat, Abe, of all these people trying to get after him. And one day, he just decided to turn himself in rather than, possibly be killed for the reward.
Abe Buzzard claimed many times to be a new man through religion, but these claims were invalidated by his unchanged criminal behavior and constant incarceration. He spent over half of his life in various prisons, including Eastern State Penitentiary, where he passed away in 1935. The Buzzards' reign of terror ended with the death of the brothers. Since then, members of the family have been upstanding citizens and community members.
The descendants with the last name Buzzard are wonderful people. They should not be reflected upon from this particular group of brothers. Great people in the community, and they should not be looked down upon.
The Buzzard Gang were certainly an infamous bunch back in those days. Today, not too many people have heard of their stories, but there are a few people that still speak of their legend.
People up and down the East Coast of the United States knew who they were. They were recognized out in other states when they were committing crimes. Dime novels were written about them. They were so infamous. People around the New Holland area, people around the Welsh Mountains still know the name. Older people in the eastern part of Lancaster County know or have heard of Abe Buzzard. Some of your biggest gangs, Billy the Kid, the Dalton Gang, they didn't have rewards of $5,000 for them. The Buzzard Gang were true felons.